let's talk Raw, shall we? But first, before we get started, I do want to say I want to thank Ben for coming out today and filming for the channel. So you will be seeing a Ben video tomorrow, and you'll be seeing a Ben video Thursday. And most likely there will be a Ben video on Saturday as well. So there'll be a lot of Ben this week, and Ben will most likely return on Monday next week to film more for the channel. Now, Ben and I put together a Universal Studios Florida retrospective video. He wanted to talk about the things he remembers about Universal back in the day. So we talked a lot about Earthquake, E.T., Back to the Future, Jaws. We talked about all points in between, and we even built up to talking about what's going there now. So let me move that closer. There you go, that's better. So that video is going to be up next week. Will was not able to join me this evening, so hopefully he'll be joining us very soon. Mr. Flashback's on hiatus right now. He will be returning soon, hopefully. So keep your calendars open for that. Mr. Flashback's return is imminent. We also have a Will tutorial should be coming up later this week as well, hopefully. So, excuse me. Well, I am very happy to say that Raw tonight was actually really good. And we had the Summer of Punk, now we have the Summer of Daniel Bryan, or I like to call it the Year of the Dragon. So, we started off Raw with Daniel Bryan coming out. He goes, you know, there's some people that accuse me of having complex. Or, I don't know, maybe little man syndrome. You're a wrestler? Really? Weren't you, I don't know, an extra in The Hobbit? And he's like, you know, some people always called me the weak link. Those people, they're morons. I've fought toe-to-toe with Randy Orton on 2 separate occasions, and I will not be satisfied until I beat him. So Randy Orton comes out, made our first match of the evening, started off with a bang, Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan. So before the match can start, Orton takes the mic and says, I came out here to tell you face to face, shut up and fight. So I'd like to have been able to give you a blow-by-blow for this, like I'd like to do. But usually I do midway through the match. Well, there was no midway through the match because they just brawled, and they brawled to the floor. And basically it just got to the point that the referee just had enough, and Charles Robinson just stopped it. So referees came in to separate the two men, and Daniel Bryan shows up in Vicky and Brad Maddox's office and says, you know what? That's not how this is going to end. I said I'm going to beat Randy Orton, and that's not good enough. This ends tonight. And Brad Maddox is like, you know, no, it's not going to happen tonight. We have a lot of things you have to worry about. You already had your match tonight, so your time is done. He's like, you know, he looks at Vicky and says, if you don't give me a match against Randy Orton tonight, you give me a match against him. And points to Brad Maddox. So Brad Maddox, of course, is completely freaking out at this point. The mere chance he's going to be in the ring with Daniel Bryan. Vicky's like, okay, no, you got your match tonight. You against Randy Orton. So, that's going to happen later on in the show. We got our next match of the evening. The Road Scullers taking on the tag team of, excuse me, Sheamus and Christian. And the only thing I can see these two have in common, well, actually, they have a couple of things in common. They're former World Heavyweight Champions, and they both came from the Indies, and another one, they both use the Texas Cloverleaf. So, that's interesting. So, they took on the Road Scullers, and we go midway through the match, and the Side California leg sweep, and the Kobito Aki at the elbow of disdain on Christian, and Sandow only gets a 2 count. Tagging to Cody Rhodes, a short arm clothesline, and he goes for a lateral press, but only kicks out at 2. So a hanging vertical suplex, Rhodes holds him up, and then he falls out with it with a front suplex, again goes for a cover, and again gets a 2 count out of it. So Christian goes for the kill switch, he gets countered into the well-placed kick to the groin, the Bob Holly style kick to the groin, and he's going for the Alabama Slam, and he gets countered in a sunset flip, and double clothesline at the same time, both men are down. So, tagging to Cody, hot tagging to Sheamus. He gets Irish hammers, 2 in succession, and of course we know how it works. Irish hammer, and he comes off, hits the high knee, running knee lift, and backdrop lands on the apron, does Cody, and he nails the clubbing blows. Cody, long day. Sandow, and he goes for the fireman's carry, presumably going either for the Finley roll or white noise, depending on how you look at it. Sandow down, tags Cody and Sandow have a little miscommunication, and Cody walks into the brogue kick in 1, 2, 3. So that's the end of the match. Well, officially it was announced that on SmackDown Friday night there is going to be a Dublin street fight between Sheamus and Damien Sandow. So we'll finally end this storyline on SmackDown this Friday. So CM Punk is waiting on Paul Heyman to arrive and runs into Vicky, and basically Vicky just kind of tries to talk to him. He's like, you know what, you have a match tonight. And Punk is hearing none of it and basically just like ignores her completely. And she's like, excuse me. And he's like, excuse me. It's like, you know what, if you see Paul Heyman or Brock Lesnar tonight, why don't you just let me know, okay? Thanks. Next match of the evening involves the former Divas champion Kaitlyn taking on one of the most useless wastes of space in the Divas division, Oksana. So, Kaitlyn's a shoulder off the ropes, and her music hits in the middle of the match. AJ Lee comes out in a full bodysuit and big arms, and she starts posing and flexing. So Oksana tries to steal the win with a roll up with the tights, but Kaitlyn kicks out and spears Oksana and gets the pin. After the match is over, AJ continues the ruse and goes, "Hi, I'm Kaitlyn. I lost to the great AJ Lee. I lost my dignity. I was embarrassed and humiliated." I'm sure the wardrobe malfunction last Monday on Raw probably didn't help matters, none at all. So Biggie Langston again comes out with flowers and goes, she's like, "Oh my God, it's you!" "It's me, all along. You are the one." It made me laugh. The "It's Me Austin" thing, it made me laugh. The Vince McMahon likes a shout out to that. "I'm so happy I could finally be with a man that has a voice as deep as mine." And basically, Layla, for some reason, is the peacemaker trying to hold Kaitlyn back. So she does that successfully. And she goes, "You know what? I'm going to be the butt of all of AJ's jokes." And AJ gets dipped by Biggie Langston, still dressed as Kaitlyn. And AJ is carried away, still dressed as Kaitlyn. Yeah. At least we have a storyline for the Divas division. Again, I don't have a problem with that. We get our first really awesome match of the evening, a rematch from SmackDown on Friday night. Alberto Del Rio, your current World Heavyweight Champion, taking on Y2J Chris Jericho. So, Del Rio hits a step-up enziguri on Jericho, and ends up getting hit with a middle rope dropkick for a 2 count. Backdrops him over the top rope to the arena floor, ducks Jericho's springboard dropkick, and sends Jericho hard into the barricade. So Del Rio, with that weird, leaping crown he likes to do, gets a 2 count out of it. Chinlock with the knee firmly in the lower back. So Jericho elbows out, rolls him up for 2, and tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, still only a 2 count from Alberto Del Rio. So he goes for the step-up kick to the arm, trying to knot up the arm, getting ready for the cross-arm breaker. So he chokes him on the middle rope and goes for those kidney forearms, and then the backstabber. Inside cradle from Jericho, tries to steal it with a 2 count only. So a whip in, a nice knee lift from Jericho, hits a step-up enziguri of his own. Del Rio kicks out at 2. So he goes for a back elbow out of it. He hits a shoulder, 2 shoulders, 2 counted shoulders. They basically hit 2 shoulders off the ropes. And he lands on the ring apron, step-up enziguri sends Jericho to the floor. So chinlock again with the knee in his lower back. So he forearms out of it. There's a huge chop. He telegraphs the drop kick, and Jericho finds nothing but canvas. Kicks him right in the face, and stomps on the back of his neck. Literally it's kind of Tyler Black's old blackout. Seth Rollins uses it. Still the blackout, because it's the same guy. He takes the point of his foot and jams it in the back of the head, and just slams your head into the canvas. It's called blackout. So Del Rio hits a version of that. And still only gets a 2 count, so a snapmare back into the chin lock. So headbutts out of it, whip in chest first in the turnbuckle, so a high velocity whip sends Jericho hard in the buckle. So a punch to the back of the head, puts him on the top rope backwards, and he's going up for the belly-to-belly superplex, belly-to-back superplex, and he gets caught. Del Rio gets knocked off, and he hits the flying body press, and somehow Del Rio kicks out at 2.5. So flying forearm off the ropes, Northern Light suplex from Jericho, and again 2.5 is the kick out. Goes for the charge for the shoulder, and he rams it into the ring post. Goes for the code breaker. He gets countered back into the sunset flip, goes for the walls of Jericho, and Del Rio punches out of it. Goes for the GSK and gets a 2.5, so Jericho barely kicks out of the grounded side kick. Goes for the cross arm breaker, gets countered, back into the face buster, lion salt. Del Rio gets the knees up, goes into the cross arm breaker. Jericho gets in the ropes and utilizes that rope break to work Del Rio into the walls of Jericho. So Ricardo breaks the hold with the bucket to the back of the head. And this brings Dolph Ziggler into the ring. So he starts pounding on Del Rio, and again, Ricardo's trying to do something, and Jericho locks him in the... just locks him down with the code breaker. Takes him down. Del Rio gets hit with a zigzag, and Del Rio gets run to the back, basically. Jericho and Ziggler face off again. Look like they're going to have a little bit of mutual respect. And as soon as Jericho turns around, Ziggler nails the zigzag and pays him back for attacking him and nailing him with the codebreaker after the match on SmackDown Friday night. Turnabout is fair play, as I like to say. So our next match of the evening, why? Ryback taking on the Great Khali. So Khali controlled the beginning of this match. It was those overhand chops. Nails a back elbow, and Ryback runs into a boot in the face in the corner, and a big clothesline on Ryback. So he goes for 3 elbows to the shoulder, and he goes for his overhand right. Double goozle to try to finish him off with the Punjabi plunge, and that was not to be because Ryback punches out of it, nails shell shock out of nowhere, and gets the 3 count. So Ryback wins. Excuse me. John Cena comes out. Yay. Only 43 men have ever held the WWE Championship. You know what? Shortcuts don't equal respect. Last week, Mark Henry disgraced his whole family. Cheated the WWE Universe. And made a mockery out of real retirements like Edge and Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. Mark Henry needs to hold on to the WWE title to cement his legacy. Problem is, in order to get that championship, he has to go through Super Cena. You have to earn the WWE title. That's the only thing he said that wasn't a complete line of bull. He earned the right not to win the championship, but to be knocked down and have his teeth knocked down his throat. He says, Mark Henry pretty much entered the middle of whoop-ass season. Our time is now. The champ is here. Yet another boring promo from John Cena. And we move forward. Number 1 contenders match for the Shield's WWE Tag Team Championships. Tons of Funk, the Usos, and the 3-man band. Why are the Primetime Players not in this match? I'm sorry, but I see that Darren Young is going to be facing CM Punk later on in the show. And I understand that because of the WWE app. But why were the Primetime Players not in this match? And seriously, if Jimmy and Jay are going to get an elongated push, and this match definitely shows that's exactly what's going to happen, then you have to differentiate them on commentary. You have to tell me who's Jimmy and who's Jay. Because I can't tell you the two apart. You cannot tell twins apart. Brie and Nikki Bella are a little bit easier for obvious reasons, but you can't tell Jimmy and Jay Uso apart. So I'm going to have to say the Uso, or one of the Usos. I mean, that gets redundant. But I'm going to have to do it, apparently, because they're looking towards pushing. Oops, I gave away the finish of the match. So, basically, Sweet Tea goes for the Hanging Tree Slam. Basically going for the non-sit-out version of the Baldo Bomb. And they toss Jinder Mahal out of the ring. And Brodus Clay comes in, tosses Drew McIntyre on top of Drew and Heath Slater on the floor. So, Brodus sleeps off the apron on all 3 members of the 3-man band, effectively taking them all out of the match. Sweet Tea in the ring hits a choke thrust, and the leaping back senton, but the Uso kicks out at 2.5. So, blind tag, standing side kick, and a Samoan drop by one of the Samoans. The other one comes off the top with the Samoan splash, And the Usos are now the #1 contenders to Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins' WWE Tag Team Championships. I don't have a problem with that. I just need you to tell me who Jimmy and who Jay is. The Shield come out and they're standing at the top of the arena. They're not walking out to attack. They're just staring down their new challengers. Again, I don't have a problem with that. But still, WWE, if you're going to push the Usos, tell me who's Jimmy and who's Jay. I cannot tell you. Like, put something different on their gear so I know which one's Jimmy, which one is Jay. I know that's how tag teams that are twins work. That makes total sense. I mean, the Bellas use twin magic. They look exactly alike, so it makes complete sense. But with the Usos, no. You need to find a way to tell me who Jimmy and who Jay is so I can fully do commentary for the matches. If you haven't noticed by now, I kind of like doing commentary. So, this is a huge segment right here. Paul Heyman comes out. He wants to do this face-to-face. So that's why he hasn't been answering calls or text messages, and he's completely been avoiding CM Punk. So he wants to do it face-to-face here on Raw. So Punk comes out. In 2005, I was signed to a contract. The current WWE Vice President at that time was that goof, John Laurinaitis, and he, in his rightful mind, sent me down to Louisville to, of course, they're talking about Ohio Valley Wrestling, the WWE's developmental territory at the time, which, strangely enough, is now TNA's developmental territory. Paul Heyman was in charge. Why? Probably because he burned a couple bridges and pissed a little too many people off up north, so obviously he got sent down south to take care of the OVW groups. He was set up to fail from day one. Certain people in management, Triple H, did not like CM Punk. Even Vince McMahon himself never considered bringing him to television. Not once. But Paul Heyman refused to fire CM Punk. He saw something in Punk, and he wasn't just an indie darling. He was a future main eventer and a future World Heavyweight Champion. He believed in Punk. Brought him to the WCW first when it was being brought back. Obviously, I'm talking about ECW. I call it WCW. But he brought back into the ECW brand. Who was the first draft pick? CM Punk. He's like, that being said, I want you to tell Brock Lesnar I'm coming for him. I don't care how big he is. I don't care how bad he is. The fact of the matter is, he's not better than me. I'm the best wrestler on the planet. There's no one more dangerous and more devious than I. I'll do whatever it takes to bring the beast incarnate down. But you know what, Paul? You never did me wrong. I want to know right here, in front of everyone, in front of the entire world, since we're going to air some dirty laundry, I want to know the truth. Did Brock Lesnar attack on his own, or did you sick Brock Lesnar on me? Now don't try to lie. I want the truth. Swear on your children, tell the truth. And Heyman's beside himself the whole time. He goes, you know what? Look, I never wanted it to be this way. You can see right through me. Better than anyone. But you know what? You deserve the truth. And face to face right here in front of the entire world, on my children, I did not know Brock Lesnar would be here last week. See, Brock fulfilled his obligations to WWE after Extreme Rules. The moment you said Brock needed my help, you picked a fight. Not with me, but with Brock Lesnar. You wonder why there was never brought up to be a tag team. The fact that Brock Lesnar and CM Punk were never a tag team. Even if it was just one night only. It would have made so much money for the company. But you know why I didn't do it? Because I understood the personal jealousy and professional jealousy you have for the two. I kept you two apart due to that professional jealousy. But in this case, business came second and friendship came first. You know what? You need your space. I get that. But there's going to come a time. There's going to come a day somewhere down the road. It's not going to be right now, but it's going to be somewhere down the line. And I'm going to walk down that aisle with you. And I'm going to walk down that aisle with you when you regain your WWE Championship. When you're the rightful main event at WrestleMania. And I know this isn't a very favorable opinion, and I know a lot of people will give me a lot of flack for it, but the fact remains this: CM Punk, I love you. You're my best friend in the whole world. And I'll never represent anyone against you in the ring. 2005, 2006, they said get rid of him. And you know what? Tonight, people are telling you to get rid of me. My fate is in your hands. It's your move, Punk. So just dead silence. Crowd doesn't know what to think about it. Punk's looking at it and says, just looks at Heyman and goes, I'm sorry I doubted you, and hugs Paul Heyman. And that's the end of the segment. A lot of questions to be answered. This was a gold segment. Anytime CM Punk and Paul Heyman are on the mic against each other is a great, great thing. And this feud with Heyman and Punk, that's not happening right now, and we're building towards Lesnar and Punk probably at SummerSlam. Again, I don't have a problem with that, because we're building towards it, because obviously Punk's kind of busy at Money in the Bank. So Lesnar and Punk at SummerSlam is the answer we're looking at, given the fact we're in Los Angeles for SummerSlam. It makes total sense. This is the big pay-per-view. And this isn't just some throwaway pay-per-view or a Raw. This is SummerSlam. It's a big deal. So eventually we're going to find out where Paul Heyman really stands. Even though right now it looks like he is on Punk's side. Yeah, appearances can be quite deceiving from time to time. So we'll see where we go from there. We get our aforementioned CM Punk No Days Off Darren Young match. Actually, this match was actually pretty good. So Punk gets whipped into the corner, buckles, and Darren Young stomps away. There's a whip and a huge clothesline for a 2 count off the ropes. He locks in the chin lock, and he pulls up on the nose, turns it into a cravat, and Punk fights out of it, and D. Young catches him with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex and gets a 2 count out of it. So a chin lock with a knee drop right to the forehead. He goes for a whip. Punk misses the big splash in the corner, and Darren Young goes for a pin, but Punk kicks out at 2. So there's side knee attacks, which are basically just like hip shots to the side, to the face, like 2 times. Back to the chin lock, and Punk counters it with a backdrop suplex. So he hits the charging knee for the Bulldog in the corner, and instead of the Bulldog, he nails the clothesline. Punk goes for a ladder press, 2 count. So he goes up top. Darren Young catches him, and a shoulder and a springing clothesline from Punk off the top rope for a 2 count. So he goes for the go to sleep. It gets blocked. Turn around. Fireman's carry into the double knees. That looked awesome, by the way, and a 2 count on that. So Fireman's carry into the inverted lung blower for a 2. Very Roderick Strong uses that move, actually. And Punk gets the high round kick and turns it into an Anaconda Vice. And real quick, just that fast, Darren Young taps out. So the Primetime Players jump him from behind, and Punk's pretty much getting the business from the PTP at this point. Curtis Axel comes out, makes a save, and fights the Primetime Players to the back. And Punk's like, why? Why'd you help me? And Heyman's like, it was 2-on-1. I mean, come on. It was understandable. So, pointless segment with Stephanie McMahon. She basically announces in the back with Vicky and Brad, basically the point that Stephanie is going to announce the WWE Championship Money in the Bank ladder match instead of Vicky, because Vicky has her hands full with the show right now. So Stephanie goes and says something that everyone was thinking was going to happen anyway. Your participants for Money in the Bank for the WWE Championship are CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, Randy Orton, Christian, Kane, and Rob Van Dam. Not a bad list. One problem, though. Shouldn't there be 8 people in this match? 7's a little lame. Yeah, there shouldn't be just 7 people in this match. There should be 8. I don't understand why there's not another person. And Ryback and Chris Jericho got into it in the back, and they basically just got up each other's face, and pretty much Vicky made a match for them at Money in the Bank. So Ryback will face Chris Jericho at Money in the Bank. We get Punk and Heyman in the back, says, you know what, Paul, I didn't need your help. He's like, you know, Punk, the Primetime Players, they jumped you. And I sent Curtis Axel to help you. And he's like, you know what? Next week, I'm going to right this wrong. The primetime players take on Curtis Axel and CM Punk. And he goes, you know, you're unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's my fight. You know what? I can do this on my own. My focus is one thing and one thing only. Becoming the WWE Champion again. And nothing else matters. Next segment of the evening, here comes Mark Henry. And he's smiling from ear to ear. He's like, I fooled each and every one of y'all. You know what? I saw all the signs. I heard all the chants. I even saw you cry. But, you know what? Because of my performance, I've been nominated for an Academy Award. Yeah, sorry, Mark, that's not true. Here's where he lost me. He's like, I've been called by Quentin Tarantino and Steven Spielberg and Tyler Perry. One of these things is not like the other. They've all reached out to me, but that's not what I want or what I deserve. They say I used my friends. They say I used my family. They say I even used every single one of the WWE superstars. And you know what? I'm not apologizing for any of it. At Money in the Bank, you're going to see a no good, dirty, filthy, lying, cheating Mark Henry. And he's going to show up. And he looks at the crowd. He's like, dance for me, puppets. Because Mark Henry's the puppet master. He is telling you what to think and what to feel. And I love this. I love this gimmick right now. It's amazing. He's like, I'm going to come home, alright? And I'm going to come home as WWE Champion. It remains to be seen, but I would have no problem with Mark Henry winning the WWE Championship from John Cena. So the WWE app had another vote, and the fans got to decide what was going to be the stipulation for our main event. Would it be a street fight? Would it be Falls Count Anywhere? Or would it be, I can't remember the last stipulation. Street fight, Falls Count Anywhere, and where is it? I'm trying to think what the other one was. Yeah, not important. The winner of the stipulation ended up being a street fight. So we get Daniel Bryan against Randy Orton in our television main event. This match was awesome, by the way. So Bryan with the tope, and Orton in sheer La Parka fashion cracks him in the head with the chair. He was the chairman of WWE on this evening. So Orton, the belly-to-back suplex, the backdrop suplex on the barricade like he has the last 3 weeks. So Orton gets a table and sets it up. So they fight, they brawl, they fight all the way to the ramp, and Bryan charges, and Orton backdrops him over his shoulders and lands him hard on the ramp. So Orton sets the table up in the ring, hangs Bryan out to dry. You know, the front suplex lays him out on the top rope. So he sets the table up in the corner. He goes for the whip. Bryan runs up the turnbuckles, backflips over, ducks the clothesline, nails the hooking clothesline, and nails the high-velocity dropkick in the corner. He goes for the stiff kicks in the corner, and he goes for his charging, leaping, seated dropkick, and Orton smash-mouths him. Smash-mouths him. That's not even a word. He nails smash mouth. It basically means the old Kid Cash tactic of tossing a chair at your opponent's face. He goes for a lateral press. Orton only gets a 2 count. So he chokes him on the middle rope, suplex to the floor, which the table, of course, is at ringside. Don't forget that. So he's trying to suplex him over the top rope through the table. It gets countered. Orton goes for it again, and again it gets countered. So Bryan neck snaps him. Orton is staggered, but he's grabbing onto the ropes so he doesn't fall through. Drop kick, and then he hits a second one. Orton still won't go down. So Bryan charges, slides through Orton's legs, and Orton's like, what? And by that time, he just grabs his legs, and power bombs Orton through the table from the ring apron, which looked awesome, by the way. And he puts Orton back into the ring, and 1, 2, and Orton kicks out. So he goes to get the Singapore cane, And I like this series right here. So Bryan goes for the stiff kicks. And he would kick once, and he came to the shoulder, and he kicked to the ribs, and he came to the shoulder, and he did it over and over and over again. It looked awesome. So he went for the buzzsaw kick, as he always does, and he gets countered. Orton hooks him up, and for the first time ever, the exploder suplex looks right, and he puts Bryan through the table that's set up in the corner. Orton ends up making the cover, and Bryan valiantly kicks out at 2.5. He's showing a lot of fight, a lot of heart in this match. I really enjoyed the storyline of this match. So they fight each other on their knees, they're punching and battling, they trade headbutts and punches, and at this point, out of nowhere, Orton hits a standing drop kick on Daniel Bryan. He puts him up top with a superplex, Bryan punches out of it, he dives off for a Rana, and he gets countered into a powerbomb release style for a 2.5. Bryan counters into the no-lock, and Orton grabs for the cane to break the hold, and he canes Bryan over and over and over again until he breaks the hold. So he hits him in the back, he hits him in the shoulder, he hits him in the leg, he hits him every single way possible. He ends up going for the snakebite DDT. He nails it. Starts pounding the mat like an idiot, like he always does. Goes for the RKO, and he gets countered into a backslide for a 2 count only. So cane shots on Orton, and he turns it into the no-lock again. Orton tries to grab for the cane, so he has the cane in his hand. Bryan takes the cane and pushes it under the throat, and in sheer, I'll just be honest with you, in sheer Chris Benoit fashion, he literally chokes him out with the cane while he has him in the crossface, and Orton taps like crazy, and the fans go insane for it, and Daniel Bryan beats Randy Orton in a street fight to end Monday Night Raw. After the match is over, looked like Orton was going to do something, and of course he's not. He's not going to do it. He goes and he shakes Daniel Bryan's hand, and he leaves the ring so he can celebrate, and the fans are yesing with Bryan as we fade to black. Good Raw. What did we learn today, boys and girls? Well, let's see. This is the summer of Daniel Bryan. I like to say this is the year of the dragon. Orton and Bryan have great chemistry in the ring, and I want to see these matches continue. Orton is a great bully, and Bryan is a great come from behind. This is like David versus Goliath, basically, is what it is. I mean, even though Daniel Bryan is small in stature, he still has more fight in him than most people do. So, this is definitely continuing to push Bryan, who will become the Money in the Bank winner, the second 2-time Money in the Bank winner as of Money in the Bank. And of course, he'll cash in on John Cena at SummerSlam. That's like the rumors that we're hearing all the time. So Sheamus and Christian get a win over the Rhodes Scholars, and we're finally going to see the blow-off for Sheamus and Damien Sandow in a Dublin Street fight on SmackDown on Friday. Again, I don't have a problem with that. I just really hope that they move Sandow on to bigger and better things. Caitlyn beats Oksana, and yeah, that was a throwaway, but it's funny because AJ once again stole the entire spotlight with her muscle suit, and her and Big E had some really funny times. It was done really well. I very much enjoyed that, so I like this Divas feud. It works really well for me. Chris Jericho and Alberto Del Rio had another great back-and-forth match, and Dolph Ziggler got a little bit of revenge on Jericho for the code breaker on SmackDown when he laid Jericho out with a zigzag after the match was over. Ryback beats Cully. Next, Mark Henry pulled the wool over everyone's eyes, and I like this Mark Henry. This is a more evil Mark Henry, and I really hope Mark Henry wins the WWE Championship from Super Cena at Money in the Bank. I call him Super Cena because in this case he would be. He shows almost no vulnerability, and that's a problem. That's a huge problem. So, again, we talk about more stuff. So, the Usos become the #1 contender to the WWE Tag Team Championships. Again, I don't have a problem with that, but WWE, please listen to me when I say differentiate between Jimmy and Jay, so I could tell the two apart. Honestly, we really need that. So, some dissension in the ranks between CM Punk and Paul Heyman still continues, but it has been squelched for now, and when CM Punk was getting beaten down by the Primetime Players, Curtis Axel was sent out to make the save. So Punk's still a Paul Heyman guy, regardless what is anyone else thinks right now. So might be in his best interest to not trust Paul Heyman, but Punk was going to have to learn the hard way. And we get a tremendous television main event with Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan, and this series is now over. So again, I don't have a problem with that. So Money in the Bank was announced for the WWE Championship. It's going to be CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Rob Van Dam, Christian, Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Kane for Money in the Bank. So we'll probably get our announcement of the SmackDown World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank match, which if I had to guess, SmackDown's Money in the Bank will be, let me think. SmackDown's Money in the Bank will also be 7 guys. I'm trying to think what you do. Is the Big Show still wrestling? Really? Seriously? Is he still wrestling? SmackDown Money in the Bank, this is going to be tough because they took Sheamus out, and Sheamus would have been in the SmackDown Money in the Bank match, but apparently not. Wade Barrett, The Miz, Wade Barrett, The Miz, Cody Rhodes, there's 3. I put Fandango in that match if he's able to compete. I don't know if he is or not. Who else is in this match? I put Bray Wyatt in the match, but he's not officially on television yet, so I can't do that. So, yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm sort of drawing a blank. You can't put Curtis Axel in the match because he's Intercontinental Champion, so that's not gonna work. You can't put Ambrose in the match because he's U.S. Champion. Kofi, maybe? Yeah, Kofi's in the match for sure. Money in the Bank, definitely. So, let's think about this. So, you've got Miz, Barrett, Kofi, Cody Rhodes. I would put Jericho and Ryback in the match. Can't do that now. Stupid. So many matches. Yeah, I'll have to just speculate on it later. I'm not even thinking about who it is at this point, so there's always that. So that was Raw this week, and it was pretty good. So the good Raws continue. We will talk wrestling once again on Thursday night with TNA Impact, and Saturday with NXT and SmackDown. And that's going to be your Raw recap for the evening. If you like these videos, tell your friends about them. Share them on social media. You can retweet them. You can share them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Anything you want to share them on. Vine, doesn't really matter. Just spread the word. If you want to become part of the Popcaster Revolution, shoot me an email, sirowandisney@gmail.com. We'll make you a Popcaster, give you your 15, and get you seen out all over the world, because Pop goes all over the world. We are very close to that 10,000 viewer mark. We're about 1,700-ish away from it, so we can do this, folks. We definitely can. This can be done before I leave for home in officially 86 days from this very moment. So let's see what we can do to get that to happen. So thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And if you want to tweet me, you can. It's at SirOwenDisney. If you want to get a hold of any of the wonderful talent here on Pop, you're more than welcome to. It's at Ben, J-A-F-E-T-T, and it's at Molly Hardway, and it's at W Padden. So we're all available on Twitter for your enjoyment. So hope you guys and girls out there enjoyed the video. And wrestling fans, I will join you again on Thursday. WWE fans, I'll join you again on Saturday. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I gotta say about that.